How we doing today, man? Today is the first day after the presidential election yesterday. Let me know who you guys voted for, if you did vote, or who you wanted to win, and stuff like that. I'm curious, right? I'm not gonna say nothing. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna say nothing, but I trade stocks. I live in Florida, right? I'm not saying that just because you trade stocks that means something, but right. So, anyways, again, I didn't say anything. That's just you projecting if you feel some type of way. What did I see going into the day today? What did I see? Well, we had a monstrous range on the Asia session. The Asia session ran 100 or 333 points overnight. This was the election move. So we have noted that for next 4 years from now. What happened on election week? Where was Monday? Monday, Asia session consolidated. We had, Monday we consolidated in Asia and London and in New York. Tuesday we had a trend, and obviously we had an uptrend, but we had a trend day. And then this is where things got spicy. Election night, around 9 p.m., we get a massive move. We get a sell-off and a massive recovery right away. So that was very interesting to see because, yeah, that's, I guess, what everyone was waiting for and saying how unpredictable things were going to be. And even more surprisingly, we ripped this massive V-shaped recovery here off this big sell-off, and we've just ripped up to buy side. Taking out this high, we got some targets a little bit higher. We're going to probably make our way on up to all-time highs. Maybe not, who knows. ES is now at all-time highs, though, so that is important. And we'll go double box here. The double box here, if you go on ES, we are at all-time highs. These are all-time highs right here. We finally get rid of this SMT, and we are at all-time highs. So what was I looking at going into the morning? Because obviously this massive move overnight, my main target was these highs on NQ. Because where were we on the charts? We had already taken out the high on ES, but we had then gone and held this 4-hour imbalance right here. After already rebalancing to this 1 hour, this 1 hour is pretty well rebalanced too, and we got displacement higher. So we were holding this 4-hour imbalance. If we drop down lower, this was the 4-hour, obviously, and we traded into this imbalance again. Nothing too crazy here, but right off open, what did we see? We saw us rip straight up to buy side, which was my target for the day. So my target got hit early, and I'll go over where I took my trade. I have the recording. Made a lot of mistakes, just to preface, but I want to go over this price run off open. Right off open, we had, or before open, we had displacement higher. We were holding this imbalance, right? Chopping, market opens, we get displacement higher. 15-second fair value gap right here. Holds, displacement higher, order block right here. Trades to the order block, this down close candle. Trades to the order block, the fair value gap right here. Trades to it, displacement again, another order block, another fair value gap. I should have entered off this, but I was hesitant, and this would have been a nice entry to capitalize on this nice little price run. About a 19-point stop loss and about a 50-point take profit. I would have liked this trade a lot just because the structure off open, we get the fair value gap hold, displacement higher, and we're displacing through new day open gaps and through this high here. We're displacing through the overnight highs. And when the overnight high starts getting displaced through, you can start to anticipate, where's the overnight high? Overnight high is here. So you can start to anticipate, that we're going to really run this objective really quick because the market's moving towards the liquidity. And when it has such a big move overnight, when we have such a violent move overnight in one direction, you really expect New York to complete that and get that last little bit of liquidity injected into the market to finish that move higher right off open because we had just been pumping. We've been ripping since 9:30 open yesterday. We've been ripping, and we had made a 630-point move to buy side liquidity overnight. That's why I was anticipating to move quick. I didn't get in here because I was a little bit hesitant Just felt a little bit weird, felt a little bit off, was a little bit like, okay, do I really want to get in on a 15-second chart this early off open? So I decided to sit out. What did I then look for? Because that's my target. That was my higher time frame analysis. That was my bias. We never got close on the opening range gap. We end up, and this is why I have the chart pulled up now. We end up here, 1 minute, boom, boom, boom. All right, we end up having a lot more structure put in, right? So what do we have here? Off open, I want you guys to also notice something right off market open. This was market open here. ES went absolutely sideways. We made an SMT at the high, at this high here. We didn't take this high out in ES as we did on NQ, and we ended up selling off because of it. So we went sideways off open until about 9:42. We started selling off, right here, 9:42 is around here. We start selling off. What do I want to draw note to here? I want to draw note to the fact that this was London low right there, and London low, because this was at 6:50 a.m. London low, we put in an SMT at London low, and this was where I got my next bias. Boom, we have an SMT at London low right here. What else do we sweep? We sweep liquidity on this time frame here. So we sweep the low of the market open, 9:30 candle. We sweep liquidity, and we have an SMT. So this is the context behind my trade, just to show you guys the narrative. I will now remove these drawings and go back to the single box. So that's the context for this trade, and I wanted to see higher. I wanted to see this fair value gap get ran through. I want to see this push higher. So we have the SMT marked out now. I'll mark it out better. So we get the SMT. We even had an SMT at these lower lows, and I'll actually pull that up because that is actually interesting. Boom, right here. So we actually do have an SMT here, very small time frame, so we'll mark that out right here. Boom, we had SMT. So that was another thing that told me that I was confident for us to go long, was the double SMT at a key level. We get displacement higher, and this is where I made my first trade, and it wasn't very good, and I'll go over a few of the reasons, and I'll pull up the clip. While I pull up the clip, I'll go over why I don't like it. One reason I don't like it is that it was right at 10 a.m., or right when 10 a.m. opened was right here, and we had no wick. So we had no wick put in. I'll mark this out. If this is the 10 a.m. open candle, this is a 1 hour and a 4 hour candle. There's no wick on this candle at all, and we trade in one direction. Just how candles normally work, you normally put in a wick, and notice that we do end up putting in, this would now be the 10 a.m. wick from here to here, so we put in a 9-point wick there, and we didn't have. So this is one-sided price. We come up, and we don't actually even close above this fair value gap. So we do not close above this fair value gap, which I entered off of. So that was my first trade. Technically doesn't even count as a trade. Like this, it kind of is hard to tell. Got in, and I'll keep going over why I don't like this. Obviously, this is not the one. I'll go over why I don't like this and why I could have avoided it and what I should do better. But we end up placing the trade. We made a decision. We got them at 2 micros, and I didn't like it. Instantly started dropping. Why do I not like it? 1, it didn't even close above. 2, this is a straight move up, right? The context is there, but how often are we going to really get in here and not get retraced down and go straight up to the highs? Not going to happen. This is really not good. The RR is not good at all. I'm basically chasing a trade halfway up. I don't like this trade at all. I don't like this trade at all. I need to learn from this, and I did. That's why I'm making this video, reflecting on it. I've made a here, bro. I understand that this wasn't an ideal setup. I don't want to blame anything and just kind of try and take the blame off myself. This was just a bad entry. I was just a little bit, I think, just quick and greedy because of not trading for a few days. I hadn't placed trade since Friday. Been a little bit weird with all the stuff going on, so I was a little bit hesitant. I don't know. I think that's some things that played a part. But that's just excuses at the end of the day. I didn't trade well here. This was not a good trade, and I didn't wait for even the 5 minute to look like it was showing signs of reversing. And on top of that, I also don't think that this is a very good trade for the fact of we only have one high, and that high swept out major time frame liquidity, so we don't need to go to that high yet. Price hasn't told me that we need to go to that high yet, and I'm sitting here trying to force my hand and say, you know what, I think we're just going to go back up this high. I think we're bullish. We got the SMT at the low, at London low. We have the SMT here, and we get displacement on 10 a.m. open, but we did not get any real, clear, obvious reason to go higher. So this trade ends up, spoiler alert, stopped me out. This 5-minute candle was very bearish. And because of that, I made my second mistake, which was going short on this 2-minute fair value gap. And I'm disappointed with myself. Trust me. I will pull up that execution now. I'm disappointed, highly, highly disappointed with this trade because this should never happen. This trade right here is not good at all. I did not like this. I shouldn't have got in here because I was just emotional. I was like, okay, we're probably going to go lower. I'm probably going to be able to make my money back. Again, haven't traded in a little bit, making mistakes here. But again, these can't happen. That's not an excuse. But I was like, you know what? This 2-minute, we're rejecting the 5-minute. We just swept higher time from liquidity. I was being a little bit of a bot, and I got in. And objectively, honestly, I go in and I change my daily loss went to 600 just in case because the market had a lot of movement today. I didn't want to just get stopped out and then whatever. So I moved it. Shouldn't do that, but I moved it. And again, today is a day that I don't hate even this setup in terms of just the setup wise, but the context isn't there. The market's super bullish. We have a bullish SMT. Why am I trying to target a high or a low that has an SMT without proper structure? So I'm just FOMOing this. I'm just fear of missing out after losing. And it ends up running up a little bit here. And I don't think I should just close it, but this was definitely frustrating to see. And when I saw this reaction, I actually saw this reaction here, and this changed my mind. I was like, you know what, I need to get out because this thing is going to go long. And like I distinctly remember that. So I closed the trade somewhere. I think I closed it like around here. For another small loss, I close it, boom, there for a $39 loss. And I'm waiting for this 30 or 15 second to inverse, and I was going to go long. And that was going to be the trade of the day because why? It lined up with my actual narrative. It lined up with my actual bias. It lined up where I wanted to see price go. And things were starting to support price action in this time, right? We had a fair value gap here. We had a clear target that could drive us higher. We had reasons for market to go higher if we inverse this. We had break-even target. We had a higher time frame target. This makes more sense because we get a displacement to the upside. We come back down to this order block. We hold the order block strong. We get displacement. We inverse. We didn't fully inverse this yet. I did go in with 6 micros. That's too heavy of size. And we end up taking some off here. We end up taking 2 off at the break even, and now we are down 240 on the day, locked in 240 loss. Boom, we take a profit there, and now we've locked in $121 loss for the day. So we locked in about half of that loss gone. And at this point, I'm happy with the trade. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm up $200 on my floating position. What if I just close it? I can make $80, $100 on the day and be fine after the loss. And I'm glad I didn't. I go to break even. I think going to break even's a little bit early here, but considering I lost, considering I take a profit already, it makes sense why I did it, but I don't think I should have gone break even. I should have just let the trade get some breathing room. I will show you guys where I should have gone break even instead. And at this point, I'm just like trying to figure out, and this is where I need to get my trading better. I've done some reflecting already. I've talked to my dad who trades. I've talked to my mom also, just telling her about these different things and different things reasons why I think I'm trading this way. And I'll kind of let this play out and explain it. Right now in my head, why did I give him a 6 micros? Well, because I'm down 240 and I want to make that back, right? That's not a good thing. But we have this 5-minute fair value gap. I wanted this to get inverse. So now I took 2 profit at the high. Why? Because I wanted to go break even, but I didn't want to go break even and not make a single dollar and it come back down and stop me at break even. So I take 2 off because I positioned myself with more size so that I could probably get more off, right? All these different things start adding up. So now I took 2 off. I'm down $120. Well, I don't want to end the day down at all. I don't want to end the day down whatsoever. So what am I doing? I'm trying to figure out. I have 4 micros floating. Where can I take profits so that I'm gonna mitigate that loss? And it's floating around, floating around, floating around, and boom, we get this candle. And this is when I had a lot of confidence. Really, was this candle here, and I was like, okay, this candle right here is actually really, really a solid candle for where I want to see price go to. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's just let this thing close. Let's just see what happens. And we get another order block, and we get another fair value gap. And this is looking good. At this point, when we get this close here, in about 15 seconds, that's when I should move my stop to break even, because we had the rebalance to this fair value gap. We had the inverse. We had the 5-minute inverse in the order block, but we then get another order block after retracement. So we have confirmation that we are moving higher and that we already did the rebalance. So this is when I could go break even. Very happy with that now. If I would have waited till then, that would have been enough patience in my opinion. And I trailed it a little bit aggressively, but then in my mind it eased it, because now look, I'm locking in $96 on the break even, and I'm down 121, so I would have been down like $21 if it comes against me break even. And now my mind is only thinking about if I can hit this take profit. And why am I thinking about that? Well, because if I hit this take profit, I know for a fact that I won't lose on the day if I leave my stop here. And that is the only thing my brain is thinking about, which is not good. That is not trading. That's not how trading works, but that is what I was thinking about. Because, again, this for me to learn from, this for me to reflect on. That's what I was thinking. That's why I was doing this. I thought, okay, I'm not going to close anything. And then I'm like, maybe I just close one here, because I don't know. I picked this random wick here as my target because it's around 30, 40, 50 points. And I was like, okay, if we can get that, and I just closed it because I was a little bit nervous. And now I'm like, okay, I'm guaranteed to make or not lose on the day. And that eased a lot on my mind. And what should I have done now? Like I should have done with the 4 micros. I should just let it go. Let the trade play out. See what happens. See if we can get to our take profit. Leave my stop. And just let things work, right? What would have happened in that case? Well, our take profit here is 807. Our entry was 711. 711 minus 807, right? We're doing a lot of numbers here. What did I just do there? I closed another micro. That way I'm guaranteed to make money. I don't know why I did that. I was guaranteed to not lose anyways, but I closed another position. But if I left the 3 micros to run, 711 minus 807, 807 minus 711, that is 96 points times that by $6, $576 on my runners. 500, not even runners, and they shouldn't even be considered runners because that was my first take profit. But that is $560 day that I could have had. Because where were we when we had the 3 micros? We were only down 121, so we made $460 on the day. What do we do now? Well, we are in the trade and we say, you know what? It's going in our favor. Why not just take one off? And that doesn't make any sense either, because why take things off when they're in your favor? But I lock in $100 now on the day, and at this point, I was like, okay, I'm determined to let my runner run. Gonna speed through the process here so I can go over the chart stuff. And then I was like, okay, cool. Where are we going to? Boom. I move my stop. I'm like, okay, that's a little early. It comes down. It sweeps this low. I haven't let go of it yet. Sweeps this low. Turtle sweeps this low in a fair value gap. And then it goes higher. So I move my stop, trailed to $105 locked in. So I'm locking in $200 and something on the day. And I then get stopped for like 108. It then comes down and stops me out right here. So I get stopped out. That trade ends up making me a good amount of money, but we end up losing, or not losing. We end up getting stopped out. What happened when we got stopped out? Well, if you guys remember, we had, let's see if I have it marked out. This is my annotations in the micro chart. What did we have here? We had a fair value gap that we held, but also we had this turtle soup at this low. In this fair value gap, we swept this low here, started displacing higher, so I was like, okay, I can probably put my stop at this low. It's protected. What did I fail to realize? That now this low became a 5-minute fair value gap that we ended up sweeping. If I'll pull up the 5-minute fair value gap right here, what was this? This was literally the 5-minute gap. The low of this candle is that low. We come down, trade underneath it into the 5-minute gap, and we trade higher. So because I was aggressively moving my stop loss, I end up getting souped. I get turtle soup. My stop loss gets turtle soup because I put it in a bad spot. It should have just been underneath this order block and let it chill. We come down, we trade below into this 5-minute fair value gap, we displace higher. Once we get the close above this order block, that's when I should trail my stop, because we support price with the order block and we push higher, and then my stop could then be trailed to the same spot it was trailed, but with proper context, and it would have worked out. We would have made an extra 42 points, which is an extra $85 that we should have made, that we didn't make because we were trailing our stop super aggressively. So even with all the things we did wrong, with taking our trade off early per se, and getting out here and taking one off here for no reason, even with that, if I didn't trail my stop too aggressively, I'm still banking another $100 on the day, which is really, really significant at the end of the day. It really is significant. And again, this price run is nice. Here we get this displacement through this fair value gap. We displace higher. We hold this fair value gap. We make an order block. We trade down to the order block and the fair value gap. That's a unicorn, I guess. We displace higher. We make an order block. It never actually gets filled. So we'll use this here. We then come down. We make a fair value gap here. Hold it. Soup that low. We then soup again. 3 drive in a 5-minute fair value gap. Displace higher. Order block. Order block holds price. Sends us to our target. And day done right there. Day done right there. So that's my chart analysis today. A trade recap, and yeah, I'm frustrated with how I traded it. Again, what things are leading me to these mistakes? Well, I lost a trade. What happened after that? I took a dumb trade. Then I get into a trade with a little bit bigger size. What does that do? It causes me to trade my P&L. I start taking profits based on where I can make X amount, where I'll only be down X amount, instead of saying, hey, I got in here. What would happen if hypothetically we took 2 off here, and then we let our rest run to this high, 97 points. Let's say hypothetically we took 2 off there, right? We took 2 off at this high because whatever, ease our mind, break even, BS, right? 32 points, calculator, right? This is what would have been the day. 32 times $4, because of $2 per point, $128. So 250 minus 100 and I think 30, I forgot. $120 negative still. What happens when we let the rest of our trade play out here and we got in around here? What happens when we let it play out for 97 points? That's 4 times 2 equals 8 times 95 would have been 760 minus 150 on the gracious side. $600 day. A $600 day, man. And let's say we carried the whole position, times that by the $12, 1,000 whatever minus 220, we would have made $900. So there's a big difference in the days I get versus the days that I could get and maybe should get, and that has everything to do with simply how I manage my trades, which is P&L based, not chart based. And again, I don't need you guys to come in the comments, flame me, say, don't trade the chart, not your P&L. Don't worry about your P&L, right? Even if I turn off my P&L, which is not the problem, I can still do math in my head. I can still understand how much money something is. That's not the problem. What the problem is myself letting my emotions make decisions for me, right? Instead of saying, hey, I recognize this, but oh well, I'm just going to let things happen. This was a great price run. I should have got to this high with most of my contracts, if not some of them, and I didn't get there with any of them, and that's a mistake, which is trading P&L, saying, look, I'm down this amount, up this amount, I don't know, let me just take some off here so I can be more comfortable here. Again, at the end of the day, I'm getting better, because a lot of times back in the day, I would have just closed the whole trade right here and then been up about 100 on the day and just been like happy with that and been like, okay, I'm up 100 and I was down, so this is good, it's a win. But now I'm getting better because I say, hey, I held good, right? I held pretty good, but I didn't hold as good as I should, and I can get better. So I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not super upset. I'm not super disappointed. I can always improve, and there's always improvement. So regardless of if I should have done better, I can learn from it. I can get better, and I'll come back better from it. So I'm very happy with today overall. I'm glad to take another trade, get back into things, and really start doing better. I want to start putting out better content in terms of just winning more, man. So yeah, so that's the day there. That's my recap. Yeah, so did any of you guys sit around and watch all the stuff going on yesterday? I thought that was pretty interesting. It's kind of cool. It only happens every once in a while, and it was just kind of unique experience to sit there and spend. I mean, hours flew by, man. It was kind of weird. It was like 9 o'clock. Oh, this closes now, and then 10 o'clock came, then 11, then 12, then 1, then 2, and by the time you know, it's 2 o'clock, and then everything gets announced, and it's pretty cool. Interested to see what all happens following that. I mean, Bitcoin is pumping, so that's helping my crypto bag a little bit. But yeah, cool, weird times we're going through, man. It's interesting, and we'll see how things progress, man. I'm excited, and I will see you guys tomorrow, man. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate all the support. I think we're like a few subscribers away from 2,200. That is dope. Yeah. Appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.